Chapter 10. What are they doing here? Lizzie whispered to Maria. Shh, shh, shh. It started, Maria pointed, and Joe, who stood quietly beneath the blossom-covered boughs of an apple tree. The pink and white flowers gave off a sweet smell as Lizzie came closer. Oscar sniffed it too, enjoying the sweetness. And Jill smiled at the small group of people gathered nearby and spoke in a soft voice. Thank you all for coming. I know you all care about Ginger, and I wanted to say goodbye to her together. She gestured to a mound of dirt under, the apple tree. And was sprinkled with apple blossoms, and a bouquet of daffodils in a blue jar set near a wooden plaque. My dad helped me bury Ginger, and he made that beautiful plaque for her, too. Lizzie felt the tears start to come when she saw the craved letters. There's FNCCNFFXHMFD. They ran. Ginger's collar hung on one corner of the sign. Lizzie tucked Oscar's leash under her elbow and rummaged through her pocket. Where were those tissues? Her mom had packed her a handful before she left that morning for Ginger's memorial. Max heard Brianna leaned over and whispered, sniffling, "Can I have some, Dum?" Brianna gave her a tissue. She still didn't know what Brianna and Dad were doing. And this was the time to act, and Jill was still talking. Whew. Oh my God. I wrote a long letter to Ginger. Sort of a love letter, I guess. And she said, and I buried it with her. But I wanted all you to tell Ginger what you loved about her. She held out her hands on either side. A woman. Lizzie recognized his neighbor and, "Hey, wasn't that the grouchy mailman?" Let's all hold hands on a moment of reflection. And Jill was saying, if anybody wants to speak, they are welcome. Lizzie turned to look at Maria. They clasped hands and gave each other smiles. Maria squeezed Lizzie's hand. "He's been doing so good," she whispered with a glance down at Oscar. Sure enough, Oscar was sitting quietly by Lizzie's feet. She had to take him for a long walk that morning to tire him out. She glanced up at Lizzie from beneath his bushy eyebrows. Was this already a serious occasion? And where's my lovely, long-haired lady? Lizzie turned to Brianna and held out her other hand. Brianna smiled and took it. Then they all closed their eyes. The yard was quiet except for a breeze rustling against the apple blossoms and the chirping of a bird. Lizzie thought of Ginger's sweet and friendly face, and how soft her ears were, and the way she and Oscar would happily lie down to each other. "Goodbye, dear Ginger," and Jill said, breaking the silence. Lizzie had to blow her nose again and wipe her eyes. "Would anybody like to speak?" And Jill asked. Lizzie was surprised when Daphne stepped over. "Brianna and I met Ginger when we started to go to Aunt Jill's yoga for youngsters class. She was so sweet. The way she would lay next to Aunt Jill's mat, waiting patiently for class to end. Brianna and I would always spend time with her afterwards. I loved getting to pet her ears." Next to Lizzie, Brianna sniffled. Lizzie handed her another tissue, so that's what they were there. Lizzie really thought Daphne said Ginger was a really patient and relaxed dog, but she had not always been that way. She always patient with her. Lizzie never tugged on Ginger's leash or yelled at her, but sometimes tempted to when Ginger was taking forever to walk around the block. Ginger was forgiven. Someone else is speaking now. The mailman. If I ran out of biscuits by the time I got to her house, she never held it against me, she went on. She was always happy to see me, biscuit or no biscuit. Lizzie looked down at Maria. Her friend was sure forgiving. No matter how mad Maria was, Lizzie always got over it. Lizzie squeezed Maria's hand again and vowed to be more forgiving. Then she turned back to the circle. And she felt like if she wanted to say something. Ginger was kind, she said. I never saw her be mean to another dog or person. When she welcomed Oscar into her house, even though he wasn't the easiest dog to get along with. Aunt Jill nodded and smiled at Lizzie. Oscar was always there for Ginger in her last few days. I will never forget that. A few more people spoke, and then Aunt Jill went on the circle, giving each of them a daffodil as she passed out flowers. She took a minute to hold each person's hand to say a few private words. When she came to Lizzie, she said, "Thank you, Lizzie, for all the time you took to make Ginger's last days happier." She knelt down to pet Oscar's head. "And thank you, Oscar. You're a very special dog." Lizzie had to stop herself from asking Aunt Jill if she wanted to adopt Oscar. She knew it was too soon for that. She didn't want to worry about the grouchy mailman who seemed that she wanted to talk to him about Oscar. They had gotten along well. Maybe because they were a little alike. Or was he interested in owning the dog? Maria touched Lizzie's elbow. "I have something to tell you," she whispered. "You know how I needed help when you were spending all that time with Ginger, right?" Maria saw Lizzie cut her eyes towards Brianna and Daphne, who were standing near Ginger's grave. "Oh, you hired them?" she gasped. Maria nodded. "And they were great, too. They both really loved dogs, and they're responsible, patient, and good to work with." Lizzie closed her eyes for a moment. She took a deep breath and thought about patience and forgiveness and kindness, the example Ginger had set. Then she opened her eyes and looked at her best friend. "So why are we trying to fight them?" she asked. "Why don't we ask if they'd like to join our business? We can use some help." Maria grinned. "I was hoping you'd say that." She threw her arms around Lizzie and smiled. "It's really the perfect situation. Let's go ask them." Later, as Lizzie, Maria, and Daphne sat behind the apple tree talking over their plans for business, and Jill came over and tapped Lizzie on the shoulder. "Can we talk for a minute?" she asked. Lizzie and Aunt Jill went to the back steps of the house. Oscar lay by their feet. "I have a favor to ask you," Aunt Jill said, reaching out to scratch Oscar behind the ears. "Me?" Lizzie said. "Oh, sure, anything. I was wondering if I could keep Oscar for a while," Aunt Jill says. I miss Ginger so much, and somehow after all that time they spent together, I think Ginger has some of her spirit. I feel like he would be a comfort to me, the way he was to her." Oscar seemed to sense what she was saying. He stood up and put his head on Aunt Jill's lap. "Of course," Lizzie said. "I was actually wondering if you might be interested in adopting him, but I thought it was too soon." "Well, I can't promise that for right now," Aunt Jill said, smiling down at Oscar. "But my guess is that if he comes for a few days, he'll end up staying forever. I understand that he needs some help learning to get along with other dogs, but I'll be willing to put in the time to work on that. It would be a good distraction for me. Lizzie reached into her pocket for another tissue. She was crying again, but this time her tears were happy ones. Lizzie, are you okay? Maria was at Lizzie's side. Lizzie blew her nose into a tissue. I'm fine, she said. She told her friend that Oscar was going to stay with Angel for a while. Lizzie and Maria turned to look at Angel, who was kneeling to hug the wiry little pup. Oscar happily licked her face and wagged his stumpy little tail. I think Oscar may have found the perfect home, Lizzie said as Maria looked at the same time. Pickle Jinx, yelled Maria. Lizzie smiled. She didn't have to think hard to come up with a name. Maria would like to call her best friend forever, she said. Another lovely story finished. And now, here's our next story. Good Dog Raised in a Barn, coming August 31st.